Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, October 30th, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The cause and effect of crime and violence in SVG, a search for a common solution, was examined here last evening. The discussion held at the Methodist Church Hall was organized by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Christian Council to look at how the church and community can work together to deal with the issue. Making the main presentation, Bishop Jason Gordon of the Diocese of Kingstown noted the fluctuation of crime SVG and outlined that this could be due to the lifestyle that many Vincentians, especially the youth, choose to live. Bishop Gordon said that if the life of wealth and money making is the goal of a civilization, then violence would be the outcome, which is very much what is being experienced today. Being guided by the work of Aristotle, the bishop stated that he is alarmed at the rate of crime and violence in the country and stressed that the growth of societal trends, which take on 30 to 50 years to develop, along with three intertwined philosophies, individualism, heathenism, and minimalism, are to be blamed for the underpinning of what is taking place in society.
That means people who can hold themselves together morally, and they might have unruly desires, but they manage to keep them in check and control using a lot of willpower, discipline, etc., etc. Temperate people will be people who have desire, who naturally desire to do the right thing, and they have the habit of doing the right thing. It's second nature for them, and it's directed towards that which is good for them. And the third is the weakness of will. People who just can't do the right thing even when they try hard. And I'm sure that none of those exist here in this audience. And I would like to put my head on a block that we won't have any of those in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Us being very patriotic at this time of year.
Bishop Gordon said that there is evidence that educated persons, elders and youths are becoming more and more self-serving instead of upholding their responsibility of moving the society forward, which he says hinders development. Concluding his speech,
Susan Craig talks about the difference between patronage and development, and in a very important work that she's written, she said that the colonial office never set up development in our countries in the Caribbean. And the local governments, when they took office, set up a lot of what the structure was in place for patronage as opposed to for development. The difference is that patronage means that when I give you something, you owe me. Development means when I do something, it is for the good of the nation and for the long-term development of the nation, regardless of color, class, race, party, or whatever else. And once patronage remains the currency in a society, that society finds it really difficult to enter into real development.
Concluding his speech, Bishop Gordon said that the church is responsible for providing integral development and warned that the ultimate development can only come by giving oneself completely to God. He urged the gathering to think not only of the way crime is done, but also of the causes, noting that if crime and violence are to be solved and eradicated, all Vincentians must play a part.
Does the challenge begin, and where does the change begin? It begins with me. Because unless I am willing to make sacrifice, to delay the gratification, to work for the good of civilization for 2 generations from now, unless I'm willing to change the way I drive and the way that I relate and the way I speak to other people, unless I'm willing to make the change, we will not make any changes to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and nor will we address the problem of crime and violence within St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Science and Technology Officer at the Caribbean Meteorological Organization, after concluding a wind direction and wind speed study at the Argyle International Airport, says that the data revealed that the winds are normal and will not affect operation. According to Glendale D'Souza, the wind range is well within the requirements of the International Civil Aviation Organization Airport Code, and that crosswinds is not a problem as the pilots are equipped with enough training to fly in and out of airports across the region.
Your wind is coming from the east-northeast, somewhere around 0.55 degrees to roughly about 110 degrees in direction from the east of St. Vincent. Now, this is not abnormal. It's not unusual. The wind field is generally characterized by the name the northeast trade winds. So you're going to see your winds are predominantly from the northeast here. When I analyzed the wind speed, what it showed was that most of the time, more than 70% of the time, your wind speed is between 6 and 16 knots. You do have winds that are higher than 16 knots, but the occurrence of such wind is not as frequent. And the study characterized the winds up to 27 knots and then above 27 knots. And in all cases for each year, the wind above 27 knots was less than 0.5% of the data point.
Recently, there was a discussion from persons here that the planes cannot land at the new airport, but D'Souza assured everyone that after conducting research, this will not be a problem at Argyle.
In this case, because the average crosswind is only between 4 and 14 knots, which is well within the limit set by ICAO of 13 to 20, and even that may be exceeded by the individual aircraft manufacturers. For example, there is a type of Boeing aircraft where is only when the wind crosses 35 knots will it not attempt a landing, and it's on the landing that the crosswinds are most problematic. But those things are taught to the pilots how to land the aircraft safely in crosswind situations, in high crosswind situations, in normal crosswind situations, and they generally put down the aircraft on the tarmac properly. I would say 99% of the times. I can't say all because I don't know what goes on all over the world, but in the Caribbean we have not had any accidents due to that.
D'Souza added that once the airport is opened and people become familiar with the area, he does not see a reason why flying in and out of the Argyle International Airport should be a problem.
And as you spoke about E.T. Joshua, yes, you will have a problem when your tailwind exceeds a particular value. I don't know what is the value for it. It's simply because you're not going to get any lift under the wings when the aircraft is trying to take off. But part of the problem with E.T. Joshua actually is that if you were to turn the aircraft around and try to go off from the other direction, you would be trying to climb on a mountain on your most dangerous part of your ascent, which you definitely don't want to attempt. So E.T. Joshua has its problems, and they have been overcome, and it's been in use for a long period of time. Argyle may have some problems, which you may call them teething problems initially, but as you constantly use the airport and people get more familiar with the way the wind behaves and the terrain that you have, you will find that it will be mastered quite easily, and the safety of the passengers in the aircrafts would always be the #1 concern. So that is what will be taken care of by one, the equipment that you put in, and the training that is offered to the people that need to have that training done to them.
Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves is refuting recent statements made by lawyer Kay Bacchus referring to the sale of government lands here in SVG. The PM told supporters at his party's independence rally in Connery that his government has done nothing wrong by referring to the Crown Lands Act.
And I hear that there's a lawyer on top of the NDP platform talking about people shouldn't pay no money at all for government land. A lot of rubbish. She's a dotish. She read the Crown Lands Act. I don't want to contest. You see, I don't want to deal with certain people, you know. I don't want people detain me who have no consequence. I talk in policy. Whichever government has done what we have done in putting title in people's hands.
Dr. Gonsalves further questioned the lawyer's reasons for making the statements.
Where was this lawyer when NDP have the people down at Fitzhughes for over 100 years? They're in occupation of those lands, government lands. They survey them. We give the people 10 cents a square foot. The 10 cents can't pay for the survey. You hear me? The 10 cents can't even pay for the survey. And then we give the title, and you know what you have to pay? Just $35 for make the deed, because we have a common farm. There are some lawyers who vex with me because they want to make money to make the deed, but not under this government. We do the deed for poor people for $35.
At an NDP meeting last weekend in Murray Village, Bacchus says under the Limitations Act, Section 17, government cannot give crown lands to settlers who have been utilizing it for more than 30 years. She says that it is time that the ULP administration stop their pretense of love and give the people what is duly owned by them.
And I have 78 lots which they don't cut up, and which I'm waiting on the chief surveyor to send it from Montgomery, and I want to distribute them next week. And there are some lots in Jammu constituency which I want to get distributed, and there are some in the Humble African constituency, at least 200 lots. We ain't doing this because of election, you know, because we're doing it in season and out of election season. You hear me? No. There is no government which has done what we have done.
That was Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves announcing that 78 lots of land are to be distributed next week. He said that this is a regular occurrence under the ULP administration and therefore cannot be deemed as an election gimmick. The opposition New Democratic Party candidate for Central Leeward, Benjamin Exeter, says that there is more which can be done to develop the information technology sector here, which he says in turn will allow for the enhancement of other sectors such as fisheries and education. Sharing some of his party's plans if elected into government, Exeter noted ways in which he believes information technology could be used in the Vincentian community to lower cost of living.
So here's what we'll do in the NDP when we get into office. Instead of giving out laptops, we will furnish the children with tablets. Okay? The textbooks, all required textbooks on the tablet. Because think about it for a second. Before the book becomes a book actually in the print form, it's in electronic form first. And the cost is no way the same as the finished product. So while it's in the electronic form, we will install the books on the tablets in the form of either an app or an e-book. So right there goes the cost to you in terms of purchasing all those textbooks.
With plans to create over 500 jobs for the young people of SVG in the first day of governance, Exeter further noted that through the new and improved NDP website, a database called the Job Bank was created to facilitate the party by providing information when persons select career choices.
That we have people, young people, who has the aptitude and the appetite for this technology. Could you imagine at the end of the day when we are able to cultivate 1,000, 1,500 jobs in high-paying jobs after you've graduated from the IT college? and after the Microsoft or the Oracle recruit you to work remotely from St. Vincent. Could you imagine 1,000 to 1,500 jobs in the sector, which pays. I'm tempted to tell you what it would pay, but it pays probably higher than any civil servant salary here in St. Vincent.
As Vincentians at home and in the diaspora continue to celebrate this country's 36th year of political independence from Britain, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, has also given recognition to this significant milestone. Director of the OECS Division of Social and Sustainable Development, Vincentian Bentley Brown, highlighted the importance of independence to the development and growth of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Independence was but a means to repairing the colonial damage, enhancing the quality of life of our people, building social democracy, and further ennobling our Caribbean civilization and its splendid Vincentian component. We have used our external relations in the independent era to deepen our regional integration process, to develop relations with a wide range of friendly countries, to expand our trading partners globally, all in our quest to accelerate our development.
OECS Director General Dr. Didacus Jules also congratulated SVG on its achievements and progress over the years.
We want to recognize the tremendous efforts and accomplishments made by this country over the past 36 years of independence. And I would like simply to say to all and sundry and to convey to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines our heartfelt congratulations on achieving this milestone. These are not easy times for small island developing states, and the very survival and the progress of every one of our member states in the face of such adversity as we now face is a testament to the resilience of our people and the quality of leadership that we enjoy.
Marvin Grant, the Lions Club District 60B governor, spanning from Grenada in the south to Cayman Islands in the north, is on an official visit to this country. Grant, who arrived here yesterday, wished the nation happy independence and says he will be assessing the two Lions clubs here to help them enhance their missions.
If we don't do this, we wouldn't know where we are. We don't know what we need to do to improve the quality and the level of service we offer to our community. And this is very, very important, because if we're not offering anything substantial to our community, we're pretty much not meeting our objectives. Hence, we must do everything possible to do so. And the negative setbacks of not meeting our objectives could very well be a club that will disappear. As a member of the world's largest service organization, we certainly don't want that to happen. And as district governor, it is part of my remit to ensure that that does not happen to any club during this Lionistic year, which I'm responsible for.
The Lions Club District Governor revealed that he is operating his tenure under the theme, "Take a stand, make it right through service." Governor Grant also says that areas such as HIV/AIDS, diabetes, the environment and youth empowerment are core issues Lions clubs have been encouraged to focus on.
This theme was born out of the fact that when we look around and see what is happening in society, more global occurrences is causing more and more of our citizens to be unable to meet the daily requirements. All right? We see wars, we see famines, we see floods, we see all these things, and they affect our citizens negatively, especially those who are underprivileged and the poor. Right? So when I sat and I thought of it, I think this is what we need to do. Take a stand, make it right through service. And this is what I've been encouraging Lions throughout the district to do for this Lionistic year.
Welcoming the Lions Club District 60B governor to St. Vincent and the Grenadines was President of the Lions Club South, Michael John. John announced that after the public speaking competition on Thursday, November 5th, his organization will launch a prostate cancer program. He says this is in an effort to raise funds to help those patients meet medical costs.
On the night of the public speaking final, we want to stay in tune with the district governor. He would have heard the core areas, and we're going to launch a prostate cancer program whereby we will be educating. As you know, prostate cancer, I think St. Vincent's rank highly in terms of persons suffering from prostate cancer. And we're going to launch this program. It's an educational program, and we're hoping to raise funds so that we can assist people in that area. So that also is one of the major projects that we'll be doing.
The 10th Annual Theatre Arts Festival was launched yesterday at the Department of Culture Conference Room. The festival, which is sponsored by the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and produced by the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, will see 4 groups performing at the Peace Memorial Hall every weekend in November. Martin Kwashi, the coordinator of the Theatre Arts Festival, says it is not simply about acting and performing, but about the holistic development of the actors and their talents.
This is one part of the festival that I really like about, is that we are also training the actors to not just to be actors, but to be people who believe in themselves, who have a good self-esteem, and who can move from acting into radio, into television, into movies, into whatever they want to put their mind to. So this is not just about performing on stage. This festival is all about. It's about exposing our talent also, and as well as the development, the personal development of the actors and actresses who pass through the festival.
Kwashi, who is also the Drama Development Officer, gave praise and thanks to representatives of the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for over a decade of continued support and assistance.
I'd like to thank Mrs. Cheryl Rodriguez because she has been a stalwart from the beginning, and also Mrs. Lydia Williams. They were very good representatives from the bank. They led in terms of knowing and understanding what their roles are with regards to the festival, and the bank and the Department of Culture. And they helped us, gave us ideas on how to nurture the actors and for development purposes.
The National Heritage Organization recently ended their Heritage Village. SVG-TV News spoke with Avia Charles, the Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator of the National Heritage Organization, about the success of the village. She said, though the village was a success, there are improvements to be made.
We had a good number of persons coming out on various days. I believe our biggest day was Independence Day, where we saw the most persons coming out, of course, straight from the parade. Throughout the entire week, we held a number of different activities, so there was something on every day for different persons. So on the Sunday, we had worship in the village. The Saturday night before, we had a soccer competition, and on the Monday, we had a karaoke competition. There were various stalls in the village that were selling local food. There were also local crafts, local produce such as wines and stuff like that. Perhaps next 2 years, what we would like to see, or what we would like to offer, is more vendors the opportunity to come into the village.
Charles is encouraging the public to come out and support the girls at tomorrow night's show at the Victoria Park, which she says promises to be an exciting one.
As Triska said, it's tomorrow and it's going to be huge. I'm going to tell you, as you can see right now, preparations are ongoing for the pageant, and this Heritage Pageant, as always, the standards is going to be extremely high. You have to be here from 7 p.m. because we start on time, 7 p.m. You do not want to miss a segment. Our girls have been training for months. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into this. You cannot come and say, okay, you know, I think that the crown is going to go to that one girl. No, it's going to be a toss-up tomorrow night. And of course, we have out of Kingston, Jamaica, Quill Performing Arts Company. They'll be our guest artist for tomorrow night. And Miss Haynes Smith, Caribbean talented teen Dish New York, she'll also be doing a special performance tomorrow night. If you haven't gotten your tickets as yet, tomorrow is the last day. Tomorrow is the show. Tickets are $25 and $35 at Singer and Caress City Store.
Wendell O'Neill and Edward Hazelwood of Layu have been committed to stand trial at the next practical sitting of the criminal session on a joint charge of robbery. The committal came on Wednesday, October 28, 2015, at the conclusion of the preliminary inquiry, during which time Chief Magistrate Brown heard evidence to determine whether a case was made out for them to stand trial before a judge and jury. Both men were said to have armed themselves with guns on December 12, 2014 in Kingstown and approached Rashon Gibson and Indira Primus, employees of Leroy Nichols & Sons Limited of Lower Middle Street, and deprived them of $4,450 and a cell phone whilst they were on their way to the bank to make a deposit.